The first rule that we're going to talk about is called product of like bases. Okay, now let's talk about what this means. Product means multiply, right? So we're going to be looking at multiplication. Like is the same, like remember like terms, right? Those were terms that had the exponent and the letter the same. And then bases, the bases are this part of the exponent. So like let's say I have x to the third, like this is the base. So what I'm looking for is exponents like this that have the same base that are being multiplied. Okay, so in each of these videos, what you're going to see is you're going to see some examples. And we're going to make some observations about those examples that will help us in future problems. So here's the first example. This is x to the third times x to the fifth. So let's do this. So x to the third times x to the fifth, let's think about what this actually means. This means x times x times x, right? That's this, multiplied by x times x times x times x, times x. That's x to the third times x to the fifth. So what does this equal? Well, this equals x times 8 times. So how would I write that? I would write that as x to the 8th. Right? Now, take a moment. This is the answer. Take a moment and observe the problem in the answer and see if you see, like, oh, was there a shorter way to do this besides writing it out? Maybe there was. Let's do another one. Here, let's throw in a negative. Here's n to the negative fourth times n to the second. Okay, so n to the negative fourth. Remember what that means? That means n to the fourth on the bottom of a fraction, right? So that means there's 4 n's, but it's on the bottom of a fraction. And here, this means n to the second on the top of a fraction. But we know what happens here, right? This just is n divided by n, that's 1. N divided by n, that's 1. So this becomes 1 over n to the second, which is the same as n to the negative second. Okay, so here I get n to the negative second. Okay, now there's one more example. And here, in order to do this one, we're going to really have to make some observations first. So here, this is p to the 1/2 power times p to the 3/2 power. How do I write this? Okay, here's the thing. Let's observe. What do you notice about the exponents here? When I had an exponent of 3 and an exponent of 5, what did you notice in the answer? See how the exponents were added, right? This was x times x times x, right? That was 3 x's, and then another 5 x's, and we ended up saying, oh, well, there's 3 plus another 5 more. There's a total of 8 x's. So the exponents are getting added. The exponents are getting added here as well. This is negative 4 plus 2. That's negative 2, right? The exponents are getting added. So what we observe is that the exponents are added. So here we can use this observation, and we're going to add 1/2 plus 3/2, right? So my answer is going to be p to whatever 1/2 plus 3/2 is. Okay, now 1/2 plus 3/2, those have the same denominator, so I can just go ahead and add, right? This becomes 1 plus 3 is 4. So this becomes 4 over 2. And it turns out 4 divided by 2, we can actually do that math. We can simplify. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So this is just p squared. Okay. Now you might not be able to visualize this one because we haven't talked about fractional exponents yet. That's okay. You don't have to be able to like really understand like, oh, well, why does p to the 1/2 times p to the 3/2 equal p to the second? You don't need to know that yet. You can use this observation, the exponents are added, to just say, oh, well, they have to be added, right? And then, of course, we always simplify numbers. All right, so now you're going to get to try 3 problems using the examples and using the observation that we made. Okay, so here are your 3 try problems. And it's really important that you try these because then you can see, okay, what mistakes might I make? And what understanding am I still working on? So you're going to try problem number 1, problem number 2, problem number 3. This is c to the 2/5 times c to the 1/5. Okay, go ahead and copy those down. Here, let me write this neater. Copy those down, and then you're going to try them before going to the next question.